The National Electrical Code, or NEC, has a rich history dating back to the late 19th century. The first edition of the National Electrical Code was published in 1897 by the National Fire Protection Association, also known as the NFPA. This initial version laid the groundwork for electrical safety standards. Subsequent editions built upon this foundation, adapting to technological advancements and addressing emerging safety concerns. The 1905 second edition included significant revisions and expanded its scope to cover industrial installations. This marked a crucial step in ensuring electrical safety across diverse environments. In 1911, the third edition introduced requirements for grounding electrical systems. Grounding plays a vital role in preventing electrical shock and minimizing the risk of fire. The 1918 fourth edition included updated grounding requirements and new rules for lighting fixtures, reflecting the growing use of electricity for illumination. The fifth edition in 1923 incorporated advancements in electrical technology and introduced wiring methods for non-metallic sheath cable. This marked a shift toward more flexible and cost-effective wiring solutions. The sixth edition, published in 1931, included significant revisions to grounding and bonding requirements. Effective grounding and bonding are essential for maintaining a safe electrical system. In 1937, the seventh edition introduced a new section on hazardous locations. Hazardous locations, such as those with flammable gases or dust, require specialized electrical equipment and wiring practices. The eighth edition in 1947 incorporated post-World War II technological advancements, reflecting the rapid pace of innovation in the electrical industry. The ninth edition, published in 1951, included expanded requirements for grounding and bonding, as well as new rules for electrical services. Electrical services are the connection points between the utility grid and a building's electrical system. The 1954 10th edition introduced significant revisions to grounding requirements and updated wiring methods. Grounding practices continue to evolve as new technologies and safety concerns emerge. The 11th edition in 1956 included a new section on air conditioning and refrigerating equipment. The growing popularity of air conditioning created a need for specific electrical safety standards. The 12th edition, published in 1962, incorporated significant revisions to grounding and bonding requirements, as well as updates to wiring methods. Grounding and bonding are critical for preventing electrical hazards. In 1965, the 13th edition included a new chapter on electronic equipment and introduced requirements for surge protection. The increasing use of electronic devices highlighted the importance of protecting sensitive equipment from power surges. The 14th edition in 1968 incorporated post-Vietnam War technological advancements. The NEC continues to adapt to the ever-changing landscape of electrical technology. Here's a more detailed look at some of the key changes and additions in specific early editions. In the 1911 third edition, the introduction of grounding requirements was a major step forward in electrical safety. Prior to this, electrical systems were often ungrounded, which increased the risk of electrical shock. The code specified how to properly ground electrical systems, reducing the potential for dangerous voltage buildup. The 1923 fifth edition introduced wiring methods for non-metallic sheath cable, often referred to as Romex. This type of cable is widely used in residential wiring due to its flexibility and ease of installation. The code outlined the specific requirements for using non-metallic sheath cable, including proper support and protection. The 1937 7th edition's new section on hazardous locations addressed the unique electrical safety challenges in these environments. The code defined different classes of hazardous locations based on the type of flammable material present, such as gases, dusts, or fibers. It then specified the types of electrical equipment and wiring methods that are permitted in each class. This helped to prevent explosions and fires in these high-risk areas. The 1951 9th edition included expanded requirements for grounding and bonding. Bonding refers to the practice of connecting metal parts of an electrical system together to create a low-impedance path for fault current. This helps to ensure that circuit breakers or fuses will trip quickly in the event of a fault, minimizing the risk of electrical shock and fire. The 1965 13th edition's new chapter on electronic equipment reflected the growing importance of electronics in everyday life. The code addressed the specific electrical safety concerns associated with electronic devices, such as the potential for overheating and the need for surge protection. Surge protection devices are designed to protect sensitive electronic equipment from voltage spikes that can damage or destroy them. The early editions of the NEC are valuable resources for understanding the evolution of electrical safety standards. They provide insights into the challenges and solutions that engineers and electricians faced as they worked to make electricity safer for everyone. These early codes are rare and valuable collector's items. Some specific requirements found in the early NEC editions included things like receptacle spacing. The 1951 edition, for example, stated that indwelling occupancies in every kitchen, dining room, breakfast room, living room, parlor, library, den, sunroom, recreation room, and bedroom, one receptacle outlet shall be provided for every 20 linear feet or major fraction thereof of the total gross distance around the room as measured horizontally along the wall at the floor line. The receptacle outlet shall, in so far as practicable, be spaced equal distance apart. Receptacles and floor outlets shall not be counted as part of the required number of receptacle outlets unless they are located close to the wall. This requirement ensured that occupants had convenient access to electrical outlets throughout their homes. Over the years, the NEC has undergone numerous revisions and updates to keep pace with technological advancements and address emerging safety concerns. It remains a vital resource for electricians, engineers, and anyone involved in the design, installation, and maintenance of electrical systems. Firstly, the NEC aims to safeguard persons and property from hazards arising from the use of electricity. Secondly, it establishes minimum requirements for electrical installations. Thirdly, it provides guidance on safe wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and equipment installation. Fourthly, it is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and address new safety concerns. Fifthly, it is widely adopted by jurisdictions throughout the United States. Sixthly, it serves as a basis for electrical inspections and enforcement. Seventhly, it is developed through a consensus-based process involving experts from various fields. Eighthly, it covers a wide range of electrical systems, including residential, commercial, and industrial. Ninthly, it is an essential resource for electricians, engineers, and other professionals in the electrical industry. Tenthly, compliance with the NEC helps to ensure the safety and reliability of electrical systems. The NEC is not a static document. It is constantly evolving to address new challenges and opportunities in the electrical industry. One of the key areas of focus in recent years has been on renewable energy sources, such as solar and wind power. The NEC has been updated to include specific requirements for the installation of these systems, ensuring that they are safe and reliable. Another area of focus has been on energy efficiency. The NEC includes provisions that encourage the use of energy-efficient lighting, appliances, and other electrical equipment. This helps to reduce energy consumption and lower utility bills. The NEC also addresses the growing use of electric vehicles. It includes requirements for the installation of electric vehicle charging stations, ensuring that they are safe and accessible. The NEC is a complex and comprehensive document. It is important for anyone working in the electrical industry to have a thorough understanding of its requirements. There are many resources available to help people learn about the NEC, including training courses, seminars, and online resources. The NEC is an essential tool for ensuring electrical safety. By following its requirements, we can help to protect ourselves and our communities from the hazards of electricity. The NEC addresses several key areas. Firstly, wiring methods. The NEC specifies acceptable wiring methods for different applications, including conduit, cable, and raceway systems. These methods are designed to protect conductors from physical damage and environmental factors. Secondly, overcurrent protection. The NEC requires overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, to protect electrical circuits from overloads and short circuits. These devices are designed to trip and interrupt the flow of current when a fault occurs. Thirdly, grounding and bonding. The NEC mandates proper grounding and bonding of electrical systems to minimize the risk of electrical shock and fire. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, while bonding connects metal parts of the system together to create a low impedance path. Fourthly, equipment installation. The NEC provides detailed requirements for the installation of electrical equipment such as motors, transformers, and generators. These requirements are designed to ensure that equipment is installed safely and in accordance with manufacturer's instructions. Fifthly, hazardous locations. The NEC addresses the unique electrical safety challenges in hazardous locations, such as those with flammable gases or dust. It specifies the types of electrical equipment and wiring methods that are permitted in each class of hazardous location. Sixthly, special occupancies. The NEC includes specific requirements for special occupancies, such as hospitals, schools, and theaters. These requirements are designed to address the unique electrical safety needs of these facilities. The NEC is a valuable resource for anyone involved in the design, installation, and maintenance of electrical systems. It provides a comprehensive set of rules and guidelines that help to ensure electrical safety. By following the NEC, we can help to protect ourselves and our communities from the hazards of electricity. The National Electrical Code is updated every 3 years. This revision cycle ensures that the code remains current with the latest technological advancements and safety practices. The process of updating the NEC involves a committee of experts who review proposed changes and vote on whether to incorporate them into the code. The proposed changes come from a variety of sources, including manufacturers, contractors, inspectors, and other stakeholders. The NEC is organized into chapters, articles, and sections. The chapters cover broad topics such as general requirements, wiring and protection, and equipment for general use. The articles provide more specific guidance on particular aspects of electrical installations. The sections contain the detailed requirements that must be followed. The NEC uses a system of numbering to identify specific requirements. For example, Section 210.52 addresses the spacing of receptacles in dwelling units. Section 250.104 covers bonding of metal water piping systems. Section 300.11 addresses securing and supporting wiring methods. The NEC also includes tables that provide information on conductor ampacity, conduit fill, and other technical data. For example, Table 310.15b16 provides ampacity ratings for insulated conductors. Table 314.16 provides box fill calculations for outlet and device boxes. Table 430.250 provides full load current ratings for 3-phase alternating current motors. Understanding how the NEC is organized and how to find specific requirements is essential for anyone working in the electrical industry. The NEC is a complex and comprehensive document, but it is also an invaluable resource for ensuring electrical safety. The NEC is not intended to be a design manual. It provides minimum requirements for electrical installations, but it does not provide detailed design guidance. Electrical engineers and designers must use their professional judgment and expertise to develop safe and effective electrical designs. The NEC is also not intended to be a substitute for proper training and experience. Electricians and other electrical workers must be properly trained and qualified to perform electrical work safely. The NEC is a tool that can be used to enhance electrical safety, but it is not a replacement for sound judgment and safe work practices. The NEC is enforced by local jurisdictions such as cities, counties, and states. These jurisdictions typically have electrical inspectors who review electrical installations to ensure that they comply with the NEC. Electrical inspectors have the authority to issue permits, conduct inspections, and issue correction notices for violations of the NEC. Failure to comply with the NEC can result in fines, penalties, and even the shutdown of electrical systems. The NEC is a living document that is constantly evolving to meet the changing needs of the electrical industry. By staying up to date on the latest changes and revisions to the NEC, we can help to ensure that electrical systems are safe and reliable. The early editions of the NEC provide a fascinating glimpse into the history of electrical safety. They show how far we have come in our understanding of electricity and how to protect ourselves from its hazards. While the early editions may seem outdated by today's standards, they still contain valuable lessons that can inform our current practices. The NEC is a testament to the ongoing commitment to electrical safety that is shared by engineers, electricians, inspectors, and other stakeholders in the electrical industry.